Hello and greetings from sunny autumnal Rome. But that's not what I'm talking to you about today. Today I wanted to talk to you about reframing failure. So what do I mean by that? Well, a couple of days ago I was watching a really cool video on TikTok, and it's of this 5 or 6 year old girl, and her objective was to jump up onto a stool that was in front of her with both feet. And of course that was quite difficult for her. She was just a little girl, but you could see that each time she made a go of it, she had this incredible determination writ all over her face. And of course, every time she jumped up, she would fall off, she would hit the ground really hard, she would roll over, and she would get straight back up again onto her feet and give it another go. And each time it just looked like all she was concerned with was getting better and better. That could be my assumption, but it seemed really obvious to me, because when she did actually succeed, which must have been like the 5th or 6th time, maybe more, there was absolute shock on her face, and she's on top of the stool. She turns around to who I assume was her dad, and she's just like holding her fists up in just complete this sense of victory. And she's looking at her dad, and he's doing the same thing, and that's where the video ends. It's super inspiring, and I just felt like, oh my god, it just reminded me there's so much to learn from the most unlikely sources, like children. And we can all easily, the thing that we all do when we want to succeed and we don't, is that we often blame the lack of opportunities, or we look at others who succeed, and typically, what we do, we say, well, yeah, but they're better than me, or they have more support, or they've got more money, or they've got training, or they're just more talented than me. We come up with a series of unending excuses. And when it comes to kids, we do the same thing. It's like, oh well, that's kids, they are all about play, rough and tumble, and if they fall over, if they don't succeed, it doesn't really matter anyway, it's not the real world, but we can learn a lot from a kid like that. And it also reminds me of this quote by Nelson Mandela, which is, I never lose, I either win or learn. Wow! If we can reframe failure in that way, we never ever fail in the first place. In fact, we've got to question, what does failure really mean? When I unpack failure, what I see is that it's just a massive fear of exposure to the weakness we have inside, that we are just not good enough. It's just this core shame at the center, right? Exposing the fact that we just don't feel like we're up to par, that we're not as good as anyone else. And that's all that it is. That's all failure is all about. But what if we don't look at it that way? What if we look at it as an opportunity for us to just get better and better, just like what was obvious on that kid's face? Sure, I'm sure she wanted to actually succeed and jump up in one go, but it looked like she knew it's going to take her a few tries and then some. So I put it to you today, if there are things out there that you're trying to do and you keep either putting off, or you've tried a few times and you've turned around and walked away and said, it just doesn't work for me, whether it's a diet, whether it's trying to get into your dream job, whether it's trying to launch a business and you didn't get enough customers, or you didn't get investment, whether it's writing a book or a film script and you've been trying to get talent onto your project and it just hasn't happened yet, and you've turned around and walked away and said, it's obviously not for me. There are people out there that get it easier because they're more talented, they are more supported, they have money, blah blah blah. I want you to reframe this whole idea of failure that is taunting you and tempting you to give up. Because what if each time you try, you're actually just getting better and better, and that is part of the journey. Succeeding isn't the last stop on a train journey. Succeeding is an incremental process. So I want you to also understand that you've got to be self-qualifying yourself every step of the way. Reframe failure. In fact, throw that word out and just call it learning altogether, and you will win. You will win. You will win. Until next time, bye bye.